He just won a BET award for a song he refuses to perform anymore. And somehow that is not even the most confusing part of what is happening to Kendrick Lamar right now. The most confusing part is watching the same people who screamed his name 18 months ago, the same people who had Not Like Us on repeat until their AirPods gave out, quietly, one by one, stop defending him in the group chats. Not turn on him loudly. Not post a takedown. Just stop showing up for him. And if you have been paying attention the way I have been paying attention, you already know that in hip-hop, silence from your own base is 1,000 times more dangerous than noise from your opposition. Something has shifted in the culture around Kendrick Lamar since GNX dropped, and the story everybody is telling about it is the wrong story. They will tell you Drake dropped 4 albums and outworked him. They will tell you Not Like Us aged badly. Both of those things are true, but neither of them is the reason the world is quietly walking away from the guy who was supposed to be the last honest man in rap. The real reason is buried underneath a business structure, a rollout philosophy, and a fan-base mismanagement problem that nobody in the commentary space is willing to talk about honestly. And when we get to the section on what PG Lang actually is and why it might be the most self-sabotaging move in modern hip-hop, I promise you your entire framing of this era changes. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe. Let's get into it. So let me set the table for anybody who has been living under a rock, because we need everybody on the same page before I start swinging. In the spring of 2024, Kendrick Lamar and Drake had the biggest rap beef of the streaming era. It was not close. Push vs. Drake was a kill shot, but a niche one. Nas vs. Jay-Z was a Hall of Fame classic, but a pre-internet one. This was the first true global, algorithm-amplified, everybody on earth with a phone rap war, and Kendrick, by any honest scoring, won it. Not Like Us went diamond. It swept the Grammys. It became a Super Bowl halftime moment. Kendrick got the BET award for it just recently, which is what has everybody talking again. And on paper, the man is untouchable. On paper. Because here is the tension nobody wants to sit with. Winning the biggest rap beef of a generation was supposed to launch him into a 5-year victory lap, where every move he made was cultural gospel. Instead, roughly a year later, the same fans who were ready to fight strangers in Target parking lots over him are now sending each other Drake's Iceman rollout videos with the caption, "Okay, he's kinda cooking though." The stakes here are not just about who has the better song. The stakes are about whether winning a rap battle in 2024 actually means anything anymore when the loser can outwork you into cultural relevance 12 months later. And the deeper stakes, the ones we are getting to, are about whether Kendrick Lamar's entire artistic operating system is built for the world hip-hop lives in now, or for a world that stopped existing around 2017. Let's start with what everybody can see, because the surface evidence is already brutal. Since GNX dropped in November of 2024, Kendrick has done what exactly? A tour, a Super Bowl, the BET award moment. And that is essentially it in terms of new artistic output the fans can actually hold in their hands. No new album, no surprise EP, no lissies, no producer tag showing up on a project you didn't expect. Compare that to what the guy who supposedly lost has done in the same window. Drake dropped some sexy songs for you with PRTY He dropped Iceman. He dropped what fans are calling essentially 3 full projects worth of material, with rollouts, with visuals, with story arcs, with the ice block sitting in downtown Toronto for weeks so fans could film it and feed the algorithm for him. One of these men understands that in 2025, silence between albums is not mystique, it is disappearance. The other one is still operating like it is 2015, and a Kendrick Lamar album drop is a cultural event that will trend on its own gravity. It will not. Not anymore. The algorithm does not care about your legacy. The algorithm cares about what you fed it this week. And Kendrick has not been feeding it. Squabble Up, which was a legitimate hit 6 months ago, is already being talked about like a nostalgic reference. TV Off has quietly slid out of the everyday rotation for most casual fans. Luther is still charting, but Luther is a Kendrick and SZA record. And if we are being adults about it, SZA is doing more of the heavy lifting on that song's longevity than he is. And Not Like Us, the crown jewel, the song that supposedly ended a career, is a song Kendrick Lamar himself has essentially retired from his live sets. Think about what that admission means. The biggest song of his career, the one he just won a BET for, is a song he has decided is no longer safe to perform. That is not the behavior of a man on a victory lap. That is the behavior of a man who quietly understands his kill shot has an expiration date, and it is closer than his fans want to admit. And oh, do I have more for you? Because the surface evidence is embarrassing enough on its own, but the moment you zoom out to what other artists, other producers, other people in the actual hip-hop ecosystem are saying, and, more importantly, not saying, it gets worse. The Drake stans are going to hate this one, but honestly, the Kendrick stans are going to hate it more, because this is the part where we stop protecting a narrative and start looking at the receipts. Look at the room. Just look at the room around each of these men. When Drake drops a project, the roster shows up. P&D is on it. Yeb is on it. The whole OVO ecosystem is functioning like an actual ecosystem, feeding each other, cross-promoting, showing up in each other's videos, existing as a movement. When Kendrick drops a project, who exactly is in the room with him? Baby Keem, when Baby Keem is available. Soundwave, and the DJ Dahi production core. SZA, when the schedules align. And then a wall. GNX was framed as a West Coast celebration, and I actually respect the intention behind that. But a West Coast celebration in 2024 with no Nipsey, with a fractured YG situation, with Ty Dolla $ign firmly in Drake and Ye's orbit, with the newer LA generation split between multiple camps, is a very small room. And here is the thing nobody wants to say out loud. The rap community, the actual working rappers who move the culture day to day, has never been fully in Kendrick's corner the way fans assume. Ever since the Control verse, there has been a low-level, unspoken tension between Kendrick and a huge section of his peers. They respect him. They will say the right things in interviews. But when it is time to actually pick up the phone, to actually show up in a music video, to actually post the album cover on their story on release day the way they do for Drake, the way they used to do for Kanye, the way they still do for Cole, that same energy is not there. And you cannot fake ecosystem support. Fans notice. Fans notice when the same 12 artists post your rollout and everybody else stays silent. They may not be able to articulate what feels off, but they feel it. And this is where the cultural evidence and the industry evidence start to blur into each other, because the reason those artists are not showing up is not personal. It is structural. And that is the pivot we need to make right now, because if all we do is talk about who dropped more songs, we are missing the actual story. Here is where I need everybody to buckle in, because we are about to leave the music conversation entirely and enter the business conversation. And this is the part of the video the algorithm punishes me for, and I do not care, because this is the real answer. Kendrick Lamar is not signed to a normal label situation. Kendrick Lamar operates through PG Lang, a company he co-founded with Dave Free in 2020, which is structured as a multidisciplinary creative service company that partners with Interscope and Glang's own distribution arrangements for his music releases. On paper, this looks like the ultimate power move. An artist owning his own infrastructure, controlling his own visual identity, moving on his own timeline, answering to no A&R and no marketing calendar. And in 2020, that sounded like the future. In 2025, it is quietly becoming the reason he is losing the war he already won. Because here is what a traditional label ecosystem actually does that a boutique creative company cannot replicate. A traditional label ecosystem has other stars on the roster whose rollouts feed your rollout. It has a machine of managers, DSPs, playlisters, and radio programmers who owe favors that stack across artists. It has, most importantly, the incentive structure to keep you in front of the audience every quarter, because every quarter of silence is money left on the table for them, not just for you. PG Lang has none of that. PG Lang has Kendrick, Baby Keem, some short films, some brand partnerships, and Dave Free's directorial ambitions. It is a beautiful art collective. It is a devastating commercial engine to run a global superstar through in the streaming era. Now compare that to what OVO actually is, structurally, in 2025. OVO is a label, a real label, with a distribution deal, a roster of active hitmakers, a production ecosystem, an in-house creative team that pumps out content weekly, and a founder who understands that in the current economy, you do not release an album, you release a rollout that lasts 18 months and functions as a permanent low-grade content stream. Drake, for all the accusations of being terminally online, understands the game he is playing. He is playing the attention economy. Kendrick is still playing the album cycle economy, and the album cycle economy died somewhere around 2019, and nobody sent Kendrick the memo. This is not a Kendrick hate take. This is a structural observation. When you build your entire operation around dropping a masterpiece every 2 to 3 years and then vanishing into artistic seclusion, you are betting that the culture will hold your seat at the table while you are gone. In 2015, the culture would have held that seat. In 2025, the seat gets given to whoever showed up this month, and the person who showed up this month is the guy who allegedly lost the beef. And here comes the truth bomb that I have been building to this entire video. The reason the world is walking away from Kendrick Lamar is not because Drake outtrapped him. Drake did not outtrap him. The reason the world is walking away from Kendrick Lamar is because Kendrick Lamar and PG Lang made a fundamental strategic bet in 2020 that the culture would reward artistic scarcity, And that bet is losing in real time in front of all of us. Every quiet month that passes, every Drake rollout that fills the vacuum, every peer who does not post the GNX cover, every fan who catches themselves nodding along to Iceman even though they swore in May of 2024 that they were done with Drake forever, is another data point confirming that the scarcity strategy has failed. And the most damaging part, the part one really want you to sit with, is that Kendrick's team appears to know this. The tour was the tell. The Super Bowl was the tell. The BET Award victory lap for a song he no longer performs is the tell. They are running a legacy campaign for a rap battle he won 18 months ago because they do not have a new offensive to run. And a legacy campaign, in the attention economy, is what you do when you have already lost the future and you are trying to hold on to the past. That, right there, is what the world betraying Kendrick actually looks like. It does not look like people hating him. It looks like people quietly moving on while he is still taking the victory lap. Now let me be very clear about something before the comments section eats itself alive. Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest rappers to ever pick up a microphone. That is not in dispute in this video, and it should not be in dispute in any honest conversation about hip-hop. His catalog from Section .80 through Damn is arguably the strongest six-project run any rapper has had in the 21st century. GNX, for all my structural critiques of the rollout, has some of the sharpest writing of his career on it. The man's talent is not the problem. The man's talent has never been the problem. What is happening to him right now is not a talent failure. It is a strategy failure, and there is a huge difference between those two things. A talent failure is permanent. A strategy failure is fixable. If PG Lang decides in the next 6 months to actually flood the zone, to drop a surprise project, to put Kendrick on 3 or 4 unexpected features, to build a real ecosystem of artists around him, to treat the current moment like the emergency it actually is, this whole conversation reverses in a weekend. The right person is still the right person. The right artist is still the right artist. He is just running the wrong playbook. And the good news for anybody who loves his music is that playbooks can be rewritten. The bad news is that every week he waits, the reset costs more, and the memory of Not Like Us as an active cultural force instead of a nostalgic one gets a little bit fainter. And that is why I am telling you this is only the start. Because what happens in the next 6 months around Kendrick Lamar is going to define the second half of his career, and by extension it is going to define what the next generation of conscious or artistically ambitious rappers thinks is possible in the current economy. If Kendrick adjusts and comes back, the whole scarcity model gets a second life, and every rapper who is watching this play out learns that patience still works. If Kendrick does not adjust, we are watching the end of the era where a rapper could disappear for 3 years and expect the culture to save his seat. And every artist under 30 is going to draw exactly the wrong conclusions about what that means for their own careers. Either way, the story is not over. The BET Award was not the ending. It was the last flare on the way down before he either pulls up or he does not. And I am going to be here every step of the way breaking down which one it actually is. So do me a favor, drop your take in the comments. Tell me if you think PG Lang saves this or sinks this. Hit that like button, and make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. And if you want to see the video where I break down exactly why Drake's Iceman rollout is quietly the most strategically sophisticated album campaign any rapper has run since 2015, and why every artist in the game is about to start copying it whether they admit it or not, that one is coming next, and you are not going to want to miss it. I'ma see y'all on the next one.